guys have done it again, introducing Callaway AI. It's just as simple as you typing in something and the creation comes to life right before your eyes. And look, it's available to you right now. Click the link at the top line of the description box right now. This is the most amazing app ever. What's wrong with you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. Thank you for joining. Everybody that's watching. And also thank you all for having me. Hope you all are doing well.
I appreciate you. The pleasure is ours. You know, oh God, Dane, I can't help but to think back to when we had our last conversation with the late, great Coolio. And toward the end of that conversation, Coolio was like, you know who I'm really watching? Y'all know who y'all need to get on?
Yeah.
Dane Calloway. You know what I mean? So rest in peace to Coolio. And we finally
Rest well to Coolio. That is an amazing brother.
Yep.
We had a lot of stuff in the works. It's just unfortunate how it went, you know, as far as his situation, but that's my brother for life.
Indeed.
So I hear you DC brother, right? Grew up in DC, Maryland.
Washington DC, born and raised.
Yeah, you can definitely hear the accent, man. I got family out there.
Yes, sir.
I got a unique way of talking.
We do have a unique, I get it a lot. Like sometimes people will say, you know, sometimes it'll sound like I'm up north. We'll say up north, but it's mainly like New York, New Jersey. I'll get that a lot. Right. But I just wanted to let the people know I'm co-owner of I'm just I'm just here to makeyouthink.com, Dane makeyouthink.com, and I'm just here to make you think incorporated, which is the company that provides entertaining educational material on various topics surrounding American history. Just so they can know, I'm an expert on Black history, aka American Indian history. Within it's been about 12 years now as far as the experience on ethnographic studies in this particular field, which means that I'm in the field. I specialize in investigative research on history in America, and I've been sharing my research and discoveries in videos of various formats on my Dane Calloway YouTube channel for about nearly 9 years now. Now I think about it, it's June, about 9 years.
Glad you gave that to the people, because I was going to ask to briefly let the people know who you are and the work that you do. What got you into going down that path and that journey of American history, as you call it?
I was always involved in that particular topic, especially in school. Everybody that's been in school with me, they would know that I'm the guy that always interrupts the teacher to ask the questions like, hey, where'd you get that from? But right. I went viral on my Facebook, and all I was doing was just showing my family records and letting them know the process of us getting involved in particular tribes. And it intrigued people. That first video hit 7 million views, and then I went live again, and that video hit 7 million views.
Wow.
For some odd reason, Facebook had a problem with me, never told me what happened, never told me what the issue was, and they removed me. But people told me back then, hey, get a YouTube, and I did. I was 2016 when I started on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And now I'm the author of numerous educational books and various articles on this subject. And I'm currently in the process of producing films on these subjects as well. So it will allow the public to be cognizant of the indigenous people of America who are misclassified as Black or African Americans that truly built America into what it is today.
Right. Now, I heard you talking on a conversation that you were having a conversation with a grandparent or a parent about, their lineage. And, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said that they didn't have a history of slavery or being slaves. Can you
my
talk
grandfather, I brought it to my grandfather, and I asked him, I said, Granddad, have you ever heard of slavery? He was like, boy, what you talking about? And I broke down to him what slavery was, and he was like, nah, that's, with him growing up, he was born in the 1930s. He never experienced that, any form of racism. In fact, his neighbors were white, were Caucasian. And I met them too when I went down there, like where he's from, which is Florence, South Carolina. And I met them. Great people. And I just couldn't believe it. That was another reason why it encouraged me to, I believed my grandfather. I just couldn't believe that was the whole thing. Where to a point where it's going to probably affect more than one person in that sense, meaning that they won't ever experience racism or ever experience slavery, haven't heard of any of that before, I was encouraged. I was like, you know what? Let me see. Let me see if there's more people out there that will, share these same stories. And come to find out it was. I mean, damn near millions of people are like, nah, my people don't know nothing about slavery. Now, what I mean by that is when we tell them the stories of us being in chains and shackles and coming off of these so-called slave ships, they never heard of the story before. Like if we came from Africa, like some of my folks was upset that I brought this to their attention. I'm like, yeah, they teaching us that we came from Africa. Then they go years back, beyond the 1800s, telling me, nah, they've been here. Like, matter of fact, let's go meet your folks. Here go the grave sites that are still here. Okay, here's the reservations they grew up on, but it wasn't called reservations back then. At that time, it was just plantations. And a lot of people get in the misconception of what a plantation is. Like, we thinking it's just strictly an area where a Caucasian would enlist enslaved people and work in the fields. But a plantation is just what it is. You're planting, you're growing crops. This is a farm. And a lot of our people had farms. And come to find out, a lot of our people had the majority of the lands. We were the landowners and the sharecroppers. The people that came over were the foreigners. They would be considered the tenants, meaning that they had to pay some type of tuition in order to stay in an area that they're unfamiliar with. Still to this very day, a tenant pays the landlord rent for staying in an apartment, as an example. It never changed. It's just that we just never looked into it to really investigate to see what they meant by that. And why are they always focusing on us as being the only slaves when the foreigners were the slaves the entire time? Not saying that we didn't have people working for other people, as far as our people working for other people and their own people. I'm not saying that, but the majority were all foreigners.
Why do you think the story was presented to us as it was, that we came off of boats from Africa? We were slaved for years and oppressed by whites. Why do you think that story was given the way that it was?
To be real with you, I believe that was done in order for us to not know our real history, so someone else can be inserted in our position. So the government won't ever have to pay, for example, reparations, some form of restitution, because they're going to notice, like if a person discovers their actual history individually, they're going to notice they're going to be owed more than just money. We're talking about land now. But the government did a number on our people. It was the indoctrination process by way of schooling. They couldn't teach this to the adults. They had to go right after the children. That's why they encouraged the parents to send their children to school so they could be taught the indoctrinated way, which will be compulsory education. But yeah, that it screwed with a lot of our people. And of course, still to this very day, people will fight you tooth and nail to say, no, we African. All because we share some similarities, not necessarily the bloodline.
Now, I know a lot of people say DNA. Did you ever take a DNA test? And how do you feel about DNA tests?
A DNA test, okay, here's the thing.
Right.
Even though there's some similarities between a DNA test dealing with paternal and fraternal DNA tests, but a genealogy DNA test, even though it's conducted the same way, it can only go but so far. Okay. When they say genealogy DNA test, they need to tell you your historical genetic makeup, but they're limited to comparing your data with other living people. Okay, so you can't tell somebody's historical genetic makeup by tracing it or comparing it with other living people. That's nothing historical. So it's limited. This is the reason why they give discrepancies, to let people know that it's mainly for entertainment purposes. They hand you a sheet of paper just like how you graduated from school and say, yeah, you related to this person. Of course, they could tell you who you're related to if the person is still living. Of course, swab of the mouth. Those, I'm not saying that technology doesn't exist.
Right.
But the technology is impossible for them to trace back, further back, years back, of deceased people, your ancestors. Each generation is multiplied by 4. You got 2 grandmothers and 2 grandfathers. That's difficult. You're going to have to dig up everybody's grave in order to come up with a, proper solution as to, okay, you're related to these people right here. But that's impossible. They can't dig up everybody's grave, at least not without their permission.
Now, are you denying that the Middle Passage or the transatlantic slave trade never happened?
No. I'm not denying the Middle Passage, and I'm glad you said Middle Passage, because that's what it was originally called. Right. No, I'm not denying it. It was just told differently. Okay? Like, in other words, they're trying to tell us that it was people that came from Africa to the Americas when it actually happened the opposite direction. There were other societies out called like the Kansas Colonization Society, for example. Eventually, there were a lot of missionary groups that got together and say, hey, it's a Negro problem going on right now. It's too many of these Negroes out here. We got to get rid of them. We got to move them elsewhere. I mean, what could we do? Could we get with some folk that has some land available where it's not a big population over there we could transfer some of these people to? When the missionaries came over here by way of the Congregation for Propagating the Gospel in Foreign Parts, one of their main duties was to inform people over here by way of religion that they were not supposed to be living here. So it was a lot of priests and pastors and chiefs that got involved with the American Colonization Society and encouraged 13 to 15,000 people to move to the coast of West Africa and populate places like Liberia, for example. But yeah, it wasn't a lot of us. Okay. The Africans in large numbers came way later in the 1900s.
Interesting stuff. I want to transition, not because we're not interested in the topic, but because I think that this correlates good with where we're at right now. But if they want to know further information in the history of our people, DaneMakeYouThink.com. And what was the other site that you want people to go on, brother? Let the people know.
DaneMakeYouThink.com and Dane Calloway on YouTube. You'll be able to find a lot of my information there.
We appreciate you, brother. Thank you for that. We'll talk about music, man, and how it affects our culture and how it's intertwined with our culture. But before I do, give me an introduction to hip hop. What was your first recollection of hip hop? What was your introduction to it? And throughout your years and throughout your journey, man, how have you looked at hip hop as it's evolved?
Hip hop was a way for us to express ourselves based off of what we were going through in the past and what we were experiencing throughout our neighborhoods and our communities, whether if it was from police brutality, you name it, all the way down to discrimination, to racism, protesting. It was our way to express ourselves. It always it carried a positive message before it evolved into gangster rap. And all 3 of us can attest to that. We can see how there was a transition from those positive messages where they will, be considered conscious messages. And then all of a sudden they, shout out to my brother Ice Cube. He was a part of that. But NWA and it was just a different thing. They were tired of things it was just a different way of expressing how they felt. They were tired of certain things always happening and always occurring and nobody really doing nothing about it. They felt as though, hey, well, maybe we can encourage our communities by way of music. But yeah, that was my era right there. NWA all the way up to Biggie Smalls, Tupac. Like I was listening to all of them. Like Tupac had a lot of encouraging messages throughout his music that's not really heavily promoted. But with him being from Baltimore, which is close to where I'm from in Washington, D.C., I really paid attention to his career and Biggie's career. Very good storyteller. And a lot of the music at that time, as far as the era is concerned, had substance before it progressed into what it is today. But I miss that. That's the era.
Right. Would you say that it was a systematic approach by the label executives to do this? To they seen that, okay, these people are starting to use this music now to liberate themselves, to fight against us, to free themselves. Let's change the frequency. Let's promote a different, gangster rap, this, that. Do you think that the labels did that, or do you think it was in concert between the labels and the rappers doing that?
It was a bit of both. I would say a bit of both. Like, remember when Nas said hip hop is dead?
Yeah. Right.
He was referring to how the music industry or the rap industry was changing towards eliminating the positive messages and suffocating outspoken voices along the lines of activists who will point out the issues amongst our communities and draw up solutions to those issues publicly, but then those voices are faded to black. And the positive things that an artist may do from time to time will not receive any promotion or attention from music media, which in turn, their fans or even us as fans of hip hop in general will not be aware of a positive gesture from an artist of this industry. This is all done by design, because whoever owns and controls the stakes of the music industry will purposely campaign negativity surrounding an artist to garner the attention of fans who are now invested in the artist's music and what the music media portrays as an everyday occurrence of artists in the industry. For example, Sexy Red. It's unfortunate, but I got to use her as an example. Our women are not generally behaving the way Sexy Red is portrayed throughout her music videos and even her social media posts.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't walk into a Niji community and immediately find a young Niji woman twerking to her favorite Sexy Red song on a daily basis. Like, that may be every once in a while, but not on a daily basis. But guaranteed, that's the agenda of the hip hop industry. They want our people to be represented as such. In the eyes of the people who remote control the music industry, the negativity surrounding the music artists will become creditable in the minds of fans of the music, making things more personable for fans to believe that their favorite artist is now relatable. We are, us as adults, we can easily point out the problem, but this is why the music industry's focus is not necessarily on adults. It's on the children.
You know, you brought up Biggie, Pac, people we grew up listening to. You think about the NWA, think about Wu-Tang, think about the Lox, think about some of the groups we grew up loving. The message wasn't always the best, but they articulated a story and there was talent involved to where we can appreciate it. Now there's absolutely no talent. There's no substance. There's nothing. It almost seems like it's blatantly in our face. This is what they're going to weaponize this form of music, and they're going to put this form of music as it relates to our people. When you look at the history of black people in 2024, they're going to show you Sexy Red. Yep. Do you think that was by design? By design.
That was by design. And it's getting progressively worse every year we look at it. And I tell people this all the time, like that are involved in the music. Like, for example, like if you take a look at the top 5 streaming services, they are to blame too. Not just the record companies. Yeah. According to what was it? I think it's called Radar Tech or Tech Radar. I recently looked at their analysis on the top 5 music streaming services of 2024. They got Spotify number 1. They got Tidal at number 2. And some company I never heard of before is Buzz or something like that as number 3. Buzz or Q, I don't know. Number 4, Apple Music, and number 5 is Amazon. Now, I want them to look at how things are ran, like what all of these streaming services have in common. What do they have in common? They are realistically paying each artist less than a penny per stream. And that's a big problem, because not only are some of these artists are selling our people out, but they selling our people out for nothing now. Spotify is giving people 0.005 cent per stream. So say, for example, Sexy Red, she did 1 million streams. She only made $5,000.
Wow.
Tidal, 0.011 cent. She did 1 million streams, 11,000. Apple, 0.007 cents, all less than a penny. She did 1 million streams, 7,000. So just those 3 alone is 20. I was about to say 22. That's 23,000 right there. But can you imagine how much money the streaming services and the record companies are making from that $1.99 sale of that one single? Yep. And it was streamed over 3 million views if you calculate all the three I just gave you. And the artists were, and it's not funny. I gotta laugh some of that negativity off. It's really not fun. It's really not. But the artist only receives less than a penny of that profit. I gotta stress that issue. And give or take, those streaming services or the record companies are 6 million, 7 million. Just with those three examples. And I have a solution to that, but people got to look at that. Like, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? Is it really worth being in this industry for change? I mean, nothing. Pennies to their dollars and making our people look bad. Is it really that worth it?
Right. What's the end game to all of this as the music continues to go in a downward spiral? The sexy reds, the trash artists. What does this look like in the next 20 to 30 years? The Black community in general.
I believe there's going to be a positive change. I'm always the type that's going to look at the positive and the negative side, but I see a positive change happening because I'm going to give you an example. Recently, April, I believe it was April of 2024, this year, Spotify changed its terms of service. Y'all may be familiar with this, but it made it more difficult for those who consider themselves to be independent artists to gain money from streams of their songs. And the reason why I'm focusing on streams is that's where their money at. Now, people say they make money off of tours. They do, but more than half of that is going to the record companies. I'm focused on the stream because that's where the money is for them. Now, instead of being paid for every stream accumulated, this is just on Spotify, which is number one, by the way, accumulated by each song, whatever the independent artists will publish on the platform. Spotify enlisted a threshold now that an artist must meet in order to begin gaining money from each stream. So let's just say that an independent artist publishes a song that accumulated 500 streams within that 1 year. Spotify now requires that you have to have a total of 1,000 streams within that year before you get paid from that song. Okay, no matter how many songs you put out. Now, there's a catch to that. Here's another part to that people are unaware of. Now, some people may assume that, 1,000 streams will be easy for them to pick up because of their current fan base. However, Spotify enlisted a requirement that made an independent artist have to meet a minimum requirement of unique listeners for each song. And that unique listener has to be legit. And they're not telling you what number of unique listeners it has to be. In other words, they're withholding that from public information, public knowledge. People have no idea what that unique number is. This means that they can pay an independent artist whatever they want, whenever they feel like it.
Yeah.
Because Spotify now took over paying music royalties. And keep in mind, let me add this, and keep in mind that these streaming services got to report to those ASCAP and BMI. So how much you being paid as an independent artist is now determined by people like Spotify if you use their services. And I'm pretty sure they got an algorithm and it's controlled by AI, but that would determine which listener will be considered a unique listener according to their standards. That leaves the door wide open for fraud, okay, to occur. And that's what this music industry is about. Like, it's always been that way. It's about fraud. I believe the solution, and to answer your question, brother, I'm getting into it now. I know I'm long-winded. The solution to this, at least for independent artists in this sake, I'm going to answer this, is to go straight to consumer. Like, skip the middleman by having your own website and sell digital copies of your music to your fans directly. That way you can keep all the profit you made, and it provides your fans like a more exclusive experience when they want to support you and your music. That's what I highly recommend. Now, as far as the overall problem or solution, well, we know what the problem is. The problem is that we don't own the industry that we created.
Right.
That's the key challenge.
Yeah.
In the music industry, the streaming industry, the whole thing, despite that we created all these platforms and everybody getting paid off of our talents, we as artists and music enthusiasts and journalists, and we don't own nothing. That's the problem. And if you listen to it, it's a solution. Because if we do pit our money together, if we pool our money together and say, all right, we had enough, that we could knock out Apple, we could knock out all of these streaming services, we could knock out all of these record companies and literally do it on our own. not only in the music industry, but other forms of entertainment industries. NBA,
Yeah.
NFL, them boys getting money. But just imagine us putting it together and actually doing it for a cause. Like if you tired of being mistreated in the industry, whatever part of the entertainment industry you're in, that's something that we could do. Overnight, it would change. They would have no choice but to respect it.
That's profound. I was listening to Ali Sadiq. I was watching his comedy show today, The Domino Effect Part 4, and he was talking about how he was in prison. He went to this one block, and it was Bloods and Crips, and they were going crazy, and he wasn't used to all this black on black violence, but was in there because it was unified. He said he had a group of Muslims, and he said, listen, we ain't fighting here today. Like, we shutting that down. And he went on to say, this was back in like the early 90s, he went on to say that today, black people rather annihilate their entire culture, annihilate their entire species for one like, as opposed to unify together for the common good of their own and complete own for their good of their people. And you just kind of alluded to that when you were talking about if we could just put our stuff together, we can change it in one day. Overnight. And that is so simple, and we know this, but it don't happen. Why do you think that is?
I think it doesn't happen because people don't see it. I think they need to see it. This is another thing that I'm progressively went into. I'm not trying to say I went the political route, but I did go something, in that direction. I did go in that direction a little bit by calling ourselves, how they claim that we're 13% of the population. Mm-hmm. We've been 13% of the population since 2021, right? So I throw it back in their face. That's their favorite number, 13 families, 13 districts. The elevator doesn't go to the 13th floor. I said, all right, well, since we only 13% of the population, right? But for some odd reason, we're 100% of its wealth. Well, let's do it like this. Mm-hmm. We only need 13% of our own population to get it done. We don't need each and everybody to unify. Let's just take a strong 13% of us that's like-minded. We could get it done. We could get it done. And everybody else will follow suit. I'm not trying to say monkey see, monkey do, but they'll follow suit. They need to see it, though. Some people would love to see it, but yet they believe in other things that are unforeseen. I'm going to leave it like that.
Right. I want to kind of transition a little bit and talk about, I don't know if you've probably been following that whole Diddy case. A lot of people said, well, he sued this company, the Diego Wine and Spirits, all this stuff began to, happen to him after that. Do you feed into those conspiracy theories, or do you think that he's just a scumbag, bad dude, that got taken out because he, beat on women and did whatever they said that he did?
I believe that they were already aware of what he was doing. It's just that some bad apples, and he was one of them. He wasn't. Now he wants a change. He wants to be out of it. Okay, and they don't let you go without a bad reputation on your name, based off of the club that he enlisted to be a part of. He's one of those type of guys that he has to listen to his puppeteers. He has to. If not, they will do things like this right now, expose him per se. And of course, he has, things on other people. That's the reason why they came down to his houses and wanted to grab the tapes and nothing else, because he has things on people in higher positions, like the guy that's ahead of the Universal Music Group and Clyde Davis. He has tapes on, and I'm pretty sure that's the reason why they have, real good friends with Homeland Security that sit those people down there to his houses and say, hey, go get those tapes because he's going to expose me. Now we talking about billionaires now. So of course they could spend, you can hire Homeland Security out of your own pocket when you got $1 billion. You go down there and go get those tapes because he's trying to blackmail us, and that's what it was. But remember that tape that came out where we saw, him hitting on her in the hotel and stuff? They've been had that.
Exactly.
That's old. That's old. They've been had that. Notice how it was published after the statute of limitations went away. This was all a game. Of course, it's going to, persuade public's perception into thinking that P. Diddy is a bad guy. I'm not saying that he isn't. He is. He shouldn't be doing that to women, but they already knew this. If they actually wanted him gone, he would have been in jail years ago. But since he's working with the folks, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't be surprised that it's going to be more people that were surrounding him at these particular parties to come down along with him, especially if they don't say anything.
Is there a darker spiritual element to hip hop and music and entertainment in general, as we see it in your opinion, and how dark does it get?
It's flooded. It's flooded. Wow. People would call it the Illuminati, but they're mistaking it for the Illuminati. The Illuminati was the illuminated ones who were against the Catholics. I'm speaking historically.
Yeah, those
people were the that when they stood against the Catholics and their ways of life. Like most of it was they would call it the Persian way of life. But the illuminated ones are not always in control. Who is in control, or would be considered the Freemasons and some of the Greek fraternity letters that a lot of the people are familiar with. The lower entities of these people who have higher power are in control. And of course, somebody will say skull and bones, they devil worshippers, they throw a Baphomet. All of that stuff is real. They do, rituals. And I'm sure, remember Coolio was telling you guys about this. I saw that interview, may he rest well.
Yeah.
He was being real. And it's just unfortunate because he wasn't afraid. I got to give the brother that. He wasn't afraid at all. I just wish that I was, able to talk with him. I just wish I was able to talk with him before that happened. But he got his message out there, and I hope people listen to him because he was telling the truth. Everything that he stated, especially with the industry. You'll hear it leak out from certain other people, but every so often you hear it from our brothers and sisters like that. You need to pay attention. They're exposing the industry and what's going on. The things that they were asking him to do, that's real. That's a part of their rituals. That's their part of their get down or lay down with us. And if you don't lay down, then you're going to lay down permanently. That's the consequences. If you're, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, they want you all the way in. They don't want you baby stepping. They don't want you crawling. They want you running at their feet. And it's just certain people that would do that because they think money is the end all be all or fame is the end all be all. But it's a lot of other people that has their integrity in check and they know better than that. And Coolio was one of them.
Out of respect to Coolio's family, out of respect to our relationship with Coolio, I want to be careful on how I say it, but I want to ask, do you think that there was anything extracurricular with his unfortunate passing, or do you think that there were just unfortunate circumstances that caused his death?
It was other entities involved.
Yes, sir. That's crazy.
It was other entities involved. And he forewarned you.
He did.
He forewarned both of y'all brothers. What he said in that interview, and everybody needs to go back and listen to it, he was 100% accurate. And it's just unfortunate because he called it. And those that were close to him couldn't protect him because they were a part of it. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yes, sir.
Are you a Jay-Z fan by any chance?
As far as his music or
music, like have you been following his music over the last 50, 20 years?
Yeah, I can admit that. Yeah.
Would you say that Jay-Z kind of alludes to some of this stuff in his music?
Absolutely.
Right, he alludes. So would you say that he's down with them folks, or would you just say that?
Absolutely.
Wow.
You can't be in the billionaire club without signing your life away.
Wow.
Absolutely. He's also a Freemason, and he already told you that he was 33rd degree with his album cover. They will put that in front of your face. It's no shame in the game. The Freemasons will definitely put it in front of you. Like the only thing sacred is the secrets they withhold within their particular realms. Like sometimes I would call it a mosque. I know it's a different name for it, but I'm not trying to get your YouTube channel hemmed up. But they will have a particular area that they will go visit, all come together and do rituals, and you'll see a checkerboard floor, okay, where they're doing a lot of dances and a lot of gory stuff will happen behind the scenes. And yes, he's a part of it, and he admitted that in his songs as well. I remember one time he was talking to Beyonce. I'm trying to recall the lyric per se, but that's when he was trying to step away from it, when he was like, this spiritual shit is really real. I'm trying to remember how it went per se, but he was trying to state that he was stepping away from that side, but they brought him back in. Same thing with Kanye West. Same thing with Kanye West. They brought him back in. And now, since Kanye West was putting up a fight to try not to go down with what they had planned for him, they're going to put a negative connotation. It's just, it's the cycle repeating itself. Like, this is the things that we have to stop. Like, if we controlled the industry for real, a lot of the stuff would stop. It would cease. We take billionaires. We don't really need them per se, but if they really was about our people, billionaires can change it. I mean, look what Elon Musk did with Twitter. If he didn't like Twitter, so he bought it.
Right. Yeah, it's a fact.
It made it his own. And if he could do it, we can do it. So if they were really about their people, they would have been did something about it. Like they said, Jay-Z created Tidal, but he sold it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember back, I know you do, back in like 2006, 7, it was this big so-called Illuminati awakening. Like it was all these videos that flooded YouTube and everything. Why do you think that kind of died down now? It's like people don't even talk about it no more. We're bringing
censorship.
It up now. You think it got all censored down?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Censorship played a big role. Okay. The people, like for example, part owner, the other owner of that is the Mormons, the Latter-day Saints, okay, who are the people that are actually holding our real records that they tried to claim was disappeared due to the wars, but they're holding it within a cave in Utah right now. And this is no joke. You can look this up. That has a steel door that could withstand a nuclear bomb. And this is the reason why we saw, I forgot which year it was. I believe it was like 2020 or 2021 when the Latter-day Saints released more records on the Freedmen. Remember that? All of a sudden, Ancestry.com got a lot more records on the Freedmen out of nowhere, but it was because they were holding him. And they said, I tell you what. Oh, wait. Y'all talking about indigenous now? Whew, here goes some more Freedmen records. Ha. We're going to play with you. Here go 2-3 million of them. The rest, you're going to have to become a member in order to receive it. They want you to pay for it and become a member. They want you to get down. See, same thing with these societies, these secret societies. Ain't nothing secret about them. They're in front of us. But their agenda could be secret. But this is the reason why censorship happened, to go back to your question, because people were giving their theories. And the majority of it was true. And they, it was a campaign against us like, hey, come on. They're going to call us conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But it was a lot of things that were coming back true and valid. So it was no longer a theory. So they had to implement that process called censorship, where they beefed up their algorithm to block out certain keywords that were stated or certain keywords that were mentioned in titles and tags. It's done by design, the whole thing.
And I was talking to one of my young bulls yesterday. He got a position. He's a food and beverage manager at one of the local establishments we live out here. And he was saying a lot of the old heads aren't computer savvy. And then a lot of young people his age, they don't know how to articulate themselves. They don't know how to move in this world right now, to where it's almost like it's at a conundrum. We're lost. And then he jokingly said, yeah, until AI starts outsmarting people and they take over. And I thought about it, like, damn, like, in joking, but hold on. The way AI is moving right now and how people are so dependent on cell phones and so dependent on technology, and we don't even learn how to follow routes anymore. We just type it into our phone and follow the phone, tell it wherever we go. Will AI, in your opinion, eventually take over? And how deep will that go as we start kind of transitioning into this evolution of where we are?
AI is a major problem. And I've been saying this for the longest. I've been campaigning to tell people, listen, I mean, how far do you guys want this technology to go? Technology advances every 3 to 6, well, actually 3 months now. It was 3 to 6 months, but now 3 months. It's moving so quick. By the time you got the newest phone that came out from Apple, here go a new one 3 months later.
Right, that's true.
And you like, wait a minute. And then all of a sudden these cameras are getting better on the cell phone. Why you think that is? To take better looking pictures when you're on the beach with your family? No, they want to be nosy. Those are 360 cameras. They want to scan your whole room. They want to scan your lifestyle so they can sell it back to you. They see that you putting on a sock from Nike. They're going to show you Nike socks as soon as you look at your phone again.
Wow.
This technology is so advanced now that privacy is gone. It's out the window. And I was trying to tell people, like, it's coming to a point where now technology has gotten even worse to the point where the government is involved. Back in 2022, Joe Biden signed the executive order 14076, if I'm recalling it correctly. 14076. Let me double check that because I want to. Yeah, 14067 is the executive order. Now that's to beef up their digital dollar. Now what they're trying to do is take away people's, control how they manage their money inside of their banks. Take away people's, and I was looking that up. Take away people's their retirement funds, their Social Security checks, their insurance, their life insurance. Like, I highly recommend people to start taking their money out of these banks and moving it over to like credit unions. Or you could create your own private trust and create your own bank and put your assets in there. But this digital dollar is a problem, and it has to deal with all strictly artificial intelligence, and people are not looking at it because they think it's a convenience because they're beefing up technology every 3 months. And they like, well, I don't care. I get to surf the internet quicker. Yeah. It's not going to hurt me none. I don't have nothing to hide. They could look at me. Most people bring their cell phones into their bathroom not knowing that these things are rolling. The cameras are rolling, front and back. They're recording everything. And some people are unaware, but, you know, it's just your privacy is shot now. And that's another thing to go piggyback off of the censorship. They made sure that privacy was infiltrated to the point where it doesn't exist. And it's getting worse and worse over time. I hope people will recognize that. Like right now, Joe Biden, is he real? It's been times when I've seen him glitch. It's been times when I see his eyes wide open, eyes closed. He's stuttering. He's jittering. I'm seeing green screen activities. I recorded that stuff and did videos about it. I'm seeing AI, I'm talking about deep fakes dealing with him. And we already heard from Obama. Like, he said that would be the only way, you know, that he will have a third term is if he sit there in a room with a mic and talk for the president that you see on the screen. But just think about that. What if that's actually happening? I mean, he did predict the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, didn't he? Years ago. Or did he predict it? Was that done by design?
Interesting stuff, man.
Yeah, definitely. Now I know it's probably been a couple of years, but I seen that did you and Dr. Umar ever have a debate? Did you ever have a debate together?
Umar Johnson is afraid of me. Wow. We were supposed to be having a debate, and you know, he backed out. And then he came out on a live stream and said, I would not be debating Dane Calloway. And it was hilarious. You know, we were just laughing at it, but because of course he was behind the scenes. He was, excuse me, that was my phone ringing. He was behind the scenes talking trash and then getting on his, you know, it's funny. I look at it. It's flattering to me because he calls himself the Prince of Pan-Africanism, and yet he raised up the white flag. And you know, it's not the fact that I'm coming after his information per se. I'm not trying to step on his toes, but this is the reason why they started bringing my name up, him and other people like him, because that movement started back in the 1960s. The Pan-African movement, pro-black, blackity black, black. And they see that as a lot of our people waking up to, wait a minute, that was a tactic done. That was supposed to be done to switch up our minds off of us being indigenous to this land. And other people replacing us, okay? And that goes beyond the $5 Indian term. I'm pretty sure people heard that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. These phones are ringing off the hook now.
We're not going to hold you much longer, brother. We apologize.
No, you good, brother. You good. See, this is the reason why I have totally different phones for these reasons, but they calling right now. But, yeah, I got a social media phone and business phone, business. Yeah, you got to do it like that now because it got crazy. And AI, to go back to that, that's another thing. I don't want them knowing what I'm doing. But anyway,
right.
But yeah, I'm not trying to, you know, it's not going to be to a point where I'm beefing with the brother. We got, you know, real street beef, and it ain't going to be nothing like that. It's just that he took shots. I took shots back. He said he didn't want no smoke. That was it, you know. As far as what he does, I believe he's a character within himself. I don't think he's legit, you know. I mean, he's been promising this same school for eons and no results. Like, I had people on my Twitter that live in that particular area going past his, building in real time, still displaying wood up on the windows. It's wooded up. And I'm like, man, this whole time, where's the money going? But then I thought about it. I mean, where else would it be going? That's how he makes his living. So this is the reason why he came after me, because that's I'm stepping on his toes money wise. Inadvertently, it's not like it was directed at him, but yeah, they don't like that.
Yeah, we definitely need to have a part 2, because I got a lot of other questions I want to ask you, man. But yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm good, brother. Yep.
You good?
Yep, absolutely.
But if you got anything else you want to add on, man, go ahead. On the floors, you want to talk about, anything you got going on, lectures, movies.
I'm currently working on a few movies right now. We're trying to push it over to Netflix, and I think Hulu got on board. It's going to be a lot of different ways that we're going to be displaying us as indigenous people of America, whether it be from horror to drama to it's all going to be educational, but it's got to be entertaining at the same time so people could grasp it, because you can find some truth in movies. Just like, for example, the AI situation, we already knew about that with Terminator. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I mean, Transformers, we could go back. We hope that doesn't happen, but they were giving us hints of this coming and technology advancing. It's time. We got a bunch of slave movies. It's time to combat that narrative. I don't want us to think that we were just slaves and 1492, that was it. We were hopeless. We couldn't do anything about it. I'm trying to combat that narrative, not only in the film industry, but I'm definitely going to be doing it in the academic world as well, with schools.
So
awesome.
Definitely need to, like I said, get you back, or to get you back for round 2, man, because it's a lot more that we want to dive into, but we know we kind of crazy with time. But Dane Calloway, man, we appreciate you. It's been a long time coming. We've been talking on and off for a couple years now, brother, and I'm happy we got to get you on, man, and we'll do it again, man. But let the people know where they can find you one more time, man, and we appreciate you once again. Thank you, brother. And
I appreciate you, brothers, as well. And absolutely, you can find me at Dane Calloway on YouTube, and I'm Dane Calloway at Instagram, and DaneMakeYouThink.com is the website.
Indeed, brother. Appreciate you, man. Once again, Dane Calloway on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. I'm gonna call it round 1 because round 2 is coming. Appreciate you, brother. Take care.
Appreciate you.